All right. Multiplying and dividing whole numbers. 1.4, 1.5. There are a few ways to write out multiplication. Okay. Let's see. Pick a number between 1 and 10. 7 and what? Pick a number between 1 and 10. 7 and 8. Okay? I can write 7 times 8. I can write with parentheses. It also means multiply. Finally, the one you're going to have to enter in the homeworks probably, if you run into like prime factorization or something, is going to be a dot. 7.8. I'll go the other way. Division can be written using a quotient or a fraction. 56 divided by 8. Or I could write 56 divided by 8, just like that. Just so you know. Order of multiplication doesn't matter. So I can do 3 times 10 first, and then 30 times 2. Or I could look at these two and do 3 times 20. Same answer. Same thing with part B. I know 8 times 7. I don't know 12 times 8. So let's see. 12 times 56. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line that up now. Hopefully this kind of takes you back a little bit. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry the 1. Now look at 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. Go to the next number now, which is the 1. You got to add a 0 for a placeholder. And then 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 5 is 5. We have to now add that together. 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 6 is 7. 1 plus 5 is 6. 672. The real beauty of it is just check. I got it right. Coffee hasn't failed me yet. I'll do one more. 0 times 8. Oh, always got to remember this. You'll see me writing down little rules. Any number times 0 is 0. Zero times 8 is 0. 8 times 2 is 16. 3 times 8 is 24. Add the 1 is 25. Move on to the 1. 0 for a placeholder. And now look at the 1. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. $5,760. All right. Here's where, when you get to these problems, the calculator might not always help you. Because if I tell you, or the computer is asking, divide and find the remainder, think of the remainder as what's left over. Right, let's see if I can do it. 65 divided by 12. I set it up as 65 divided by 12. Now you've got to think a little bit. How many times does 12 go into 65? Well, I know that 12 times 5 is 60. So I'm going to put 5 there. And then now multiply. So 5 times 12 is 60. And then subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 6 minus 6 is 0. You're at the end of it. Like, you don't need to put a decimal point if it's asking for the remainder. So what's left over is 5. Let's label a few things. They're going to ask you, what's the divisor? The 12 is the divisor. The $65 is called the dividend, otherwise known as the numerator. What's left over is called the remainder. We said you can write it as a fraction, right? So if you wanted to think of 65 divided by 12, well, it's 65 over 12, which is equal to 5 and 5/12, right? Mixed fraction. Pause for a minute to let that marinate in your mind. See if you have any questions. All right. Dividing is where they start throwing the terms at you and stuff. Sorry, did you? Look at this. I love this thing. It's beautiful. 120 divided by 10. The numerator goes inside. divided by the denominator, right? How many times does 10 go into 12? There's only 2 digits, right? So only look at the first 2 digits of the number. How many times does 10 go into 12? One time. So now multiply. 1 times 10 is 10. And subtract. 2 is left over. Now move to the 0. You got to bring that down. Okay, now ask yourself, how many times does 10 go into 20? 2 times. Right, yeah. But now, so the answer is 12. But here's where they're really going to get you. What's the remainder? 0. So they may actually have to ask you what's the remainder, and you have to put R0. All right, just be careful about that. In a forest, there are approximately 356 trees per acre. If the forest is 26 acres, how many trees are in the forest? So think about what we're doing, right? What they're really asking you is, should I multiply or should I divide? Multiply. Yeah. How would you think about that? I guess you would do this. 356 trees per acre. And the forest is 26 acres. Well, I would think that acres would be on top. So it's kind of like you're multiplying those two numbers together. I don't want to get too much ahead of you, but acres on top, acres on bottom cancels out, and we're left with how many trees? So 356 times 26. There's not enough coffee in the world for me to do that in my head. So 356 times 26. 9,256 trees. Notice the dot. It means multiply. We're almost there. Hang in there. Estimate the product by first rounding each number to the nearest hundred. Please notice, don't go for the calculator. You've got to round it first. $1,286 to the nearest hundred. You got it. 1,300. 590 to the nearest hundred. Well, here's the 5. Look at the 9. Okay, 600. That's what they want you to multiply. And this is going to become 0, 0, 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 0 is 0 again. 6 times 3 is 18. 1 times 6 is 6, plus 1 is 7. They are looking for an answer of 780,000. What happened? Did it stop? Still good. Okay. Sorry about that. Estimate the quotient by rounding each number to the nearest 10. What will it be? What did you say? 800, because it's a double rounding. Okay? 76 will go to 80. So 800 divided by 80, maybe you can do it in your head, or you go for the calculator or something like that. It should come out pretty nicely. I think. I'll do it anyway. 80 goes into 80 once. There's 0 left over. $10, right?